A company can have a vibrant office, a busy team, and a constant hum of activity while bringing in exactly $0 from actual customers. This happens because early-stage founders often fall into the trap of startup theater. They collect press coverage, build massive email waitlists, and accumulate social media praise, mistaking public attention for commercial viability. These vanity signals are incredibly dangerous. They provide immediate psychological relief and soothe the ego during a highly uncertain process, masking the fact that the underlying business model has no structural integrity. This table compares the illusion of momentum with actual economic reality. A real market only validates an idea when a buyer is forced to make a tangible commitment. Prioritizing the theater leads teams to spend months building bloated, over-engineered products for an audience that enjoys the concept but will never actually open their wallets. A business rarely collapses from one sudden, catastrophic mistake. Collapse usually begins at inception, bleeding out slowly because resources were attached to a flawed premise. The first casualty is opportunity cost. A founder has a finite amount of energy and time. Every month spent pushing an idea with weak economic demand is a month stolen from a market that might actually pay. Injecting external capital into this situation does not solve the problem. It accelerates the failure. Funding allows a team to build more features and hire more staff instead of forcing the harsh, necessary pivot. Then, sunk cost thinking takes over. The founders realize the market isn't pulling, but they keep spending anyway, simply to defend the money and credibility they have already exhausted. The wrong idea operates as an expensive cognitive trap. It slowly consumes the team's operational runway, draining their belief and the founder's identity along with the cash. You need a system to test true demand before you write a single line of code or sign a commercial lease. The core rule of early survival is severe. Markets only provide validation when a buyer makes an uncomfortable, measurable sacrifice. This checklist shows an actual commercial sacrifice. A buyer proves demand by paying a deposit up front, migrating critical internal data, or spending their political capital. Words require no trade-offs. The phrase, "I love the idea," generates exactly zero revenue. Founders routinely confuse curiosity with intent. Email waitlists, a spike in social media followers, and unpaid corporate pilot programs are false signals. Accepting these signals creates a toxic internal culture. The team begins rewarding itself for generating noise and activity rather than securing binding contracts. To break this loop, introduce pricing conversations uncomfortably early. State the cost before the product is finished to see who stays at the table. Forcing the market to sacrifice will bruise your ego. It will immediately shrink your pipeline of interested prospects, but it ensures you only spend your limited capital on people who intend to buy. Almost every pitch deck relies on a massive, multi-billion-dollar total addressable market to prove its potential, but it is a theoretical ceiling. It flatters a founder's ambition, but it provides zero operational utility for making payroll on Friday. This chart maps market size against market liquidity, how fast cash actually moves. Operating in a huge, low-liquidity market is a trap. Slow procurement will starve your startup. Instead, target the survival zone, a narrow niche with acute pain and accessible budgets. In this zone, commercial movement is fast. Procurement cycles are short. You can identify the problem on Monday and secure a paid trial by Friday. Market size suggests what you might become in a decade. Market liquidity dictates whether you survive the year. You have to secure a highly liquid foothold to earn the right to expand later. Securing revenue is only half the equation. You also have to manage the speed at which your company consumes its own oxygen. Founders often calculate their survival based on headline bank balances and optimistic pipeline forecasts. This creates a lethal runway illusion. You must separate your gross burn, the absolute total cash leaving the account, from your net burn, which is the actual speed of depletion after you subtract reliable collected cash. This decision tree calculates your true emergency runway. Start with cash in the bank, then subtract unreserved tax liabilities and delayed customer payments. Finally, isolate the non-negotiable costs required to keep the lights on. What remains is your actual operating window. This baseline is your structural burn. It includes payroll, unavoidable rent, and the core delivery infrastructure your customers rely on. Everything else is discretionary burn, like brand campaigns, prestige event sponsorships, and speculative new hires. These must be cut without hesitation. Time is a strictly financial variable. Every single dollar spent on discretionary burn physically removes days from your company's survival clock. Calculating a severe, exact emergency runway strips the romance out of running a business. But it gives you the strategic control necessary to redirect the company before the bank account forces the decision for you. This approach is called bootstrap logic. It is not a punishment for failing to raise venture capital. It is a superior commercial philosophy built on extreme operational discipline. It forces a team to treat every single software subscription, contractor invoice, and server cost as an entity that must legally justify itself against future revenue. This matrix breaks down the choice every early-stage founder eventually faces: the path of comfort or the path of severity. The path of comfort optimizes for hype cycles. You gather praise, expand the product scope indefinitely, and prioritize an impressive narrative while your unit economics decay. The path of severity demands immediate customer sacrifice. You introduce pricing friction early, track net burn obsessively, and embrace the discomfort of a hard no from the market. Choosing severity removes the glamorous mythology of entrepreneurship. You replace the feeling of being an innovator with the harsh, often discouraging math of commercial reality. Markets do not care about your intentions, your effort, or how grand your vision is. They exclusively reward the disciplined execution of evidence under extreme constraints. Survival is the only condition that allows your ambition to become real.